right, guys, top of the morning. Happy August 26th, coming to you feeling good, feeling prepared, feeling ready for another week. And I'm super, super grateful to have this opportunity with you guys. Like I say every single time, this is a privilege to me to be able to spend this time with you. My hope is that at least you get one thing from these sessions that can impact your life and or your business. So I'm stoked to be here, stoked to be present, and I'm stoked to be in this moment. So as always, I'm gonna have somebody bring us out on the field and really set the tone and set the sentiment for our session today. And that person, since she was here really early, she already had her workout. Princess, I'm gonna turn the mic over to you. Princess, you're gonna bring us out on the field on this amazing Monday morning. So what's on your mind and what do you think everyone should hear this morning? Go ahead and take us out on the field.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It is the start of a new week. I know many of us had open houses, so let's just do what we have to do as far as following up with those clients. Let's make sure that we do our due diligence. Have a successful day. Happy Monday.
Love it. I love it. So you already did your workout this morning, right? You said you just got done?
Yes.
What was the workout and what did you do?
30-minute club bangers on the Peloton.
Okay, I know exactly what workout that is. And in 30 minutes, how many miles do you go?
I usually do at least 7 on the bike.
7. Nice. And so you're set for the day. You feel good. Are you going to do another workout or you always do just one?
I usually just set for the one, but I mean,
Okay.
if you're dropping in the extra, I might.
No, I'm just asking.
I have energy for another one, so you know.
Okay. All right. I think I don't work out in the morning. I always work out in the evening, but I feel if I did one in the morning, I could probably squeeze another one in, but that's just me. So you guys, let's do this. I want to talk about open houses before we get rolling, before we talk about moving our needle. You know, obviously this is the second weekend that we are into the settlement. And so what I'd like to do in a moment is I'd like to hear from you guys. If you're out hosting open houses, what are you hearing? Talk to me about unrepresented buyers, how you're having that conversation, how you're having that conversation before they walk the property if they are unrepresented. I want to know, like, what are you guys hearing? What are you experiencing? Is it different or is it just the same? And I want to hear from you guys because it's important that we're all sharing, collaborating, and giving in this space. But before we do that, I want to share a quote with you that I heard from a video and I thought it was really, really powerful. And I want to share this with you and hopefully this lands. It says here that your work ethic reflects your gratitude, which ultimately leads to your results. The grateful person shows up early. The grateful person gives full effort. The grateful person asks questions, and the grateful person runs towards accountability, not from accountability. So my thought is that if you're here in the morning, if you're here, you're present, you're in this moment, it shows that you have a sense of gratitude. And it's not gratitude towards me. It's gratitude towards this business, towards this industry, about you growing, about you reaching for more, achieving more, being more. So I want to just say that I'm grateful for you guys spending this time with me and that your work ethic reflects your gratitude. If you're up on a Monday morning, you're here with me, that shows that your work ethic is super, super high and that you are grateful for all the opportunities that you guys have. So let's do this. I need about 5 people to get involved in this conversation. If you hosted an open house on Saturday or Sunday, I want you to raise your hand and I want to hear from you guys what you're experiencing from unrepresented buyers, people that really don't know about the settlement, and it's your responsibility to educate them. So you guys, let's have this conversation because we have not had this conversation thus far since the settlement happened. So I got only one hand up. I'm looking around the screen. I know many of you did open houses this last weekend. So I need at least 5 people to get involved in this conversation. We got 3. There's my 4th. Who's going to be my 5th? Going once, going twice. Who's going to be my 5th? There we go. Awesome. We're in. All right. So Princess, we're going to start out with you on 2. You will be on deck and then we'll just go through people that have their hands up. Please keep your hands up so I make sure I don't miss anything. Princess, what are you experiencing? What are you hearing? And talk to me about your experience with open houses.
Some people do know what's going on, but quite a few don't still. So, I mean, definitely going to be educating more people as they come through. I'm glad we actually brought this up because I had something that I wanted to bring up from last weekend. This weekend was pretty slow, but I had someone come in, somebody just in the neighborhood, not really interested as far as buying. How are we having that conversation with just looky-loos? I asked her, hey, can you sign in? Refused and decided to leave. So that was kind of the scenario. But the other people that I did have come through, they were willing to sign in. I mean, I even handed out some stuff some information, like a one pager from NAR, at least so that they had education on that. And we're thankful for that. So.
All right. So the question is, just make sure that I isolate the question and I understand you. The question is, if somebody says, I'm just a looky-loo and I just want to see the property. All right. So before I answer that, I want to hear from you guys. If you were to experience that from a consumer, walks into your open house, says, no, I just wanted to look around. How are you guys answering that? How are you addressing that? Let's hear from you guys first. Go ahead and take yourself off of mute. Let's answer this question. And you guys, I know it's Monday morning, but I need your involvement in this. This is how we're all going to get better. Who's got an answer for that objection or that, conversation? Go ahead.
Well, I think it's important that they have to sign in at least, because I had a similar situation like you yesterday, and I asked her to sign in and she didn't want to sign in and she left. But I think I think the intentional buyers is what we want. And if they don't even want to sign in, I just let them go, because clearly the intention isn't even there. And if they're not even willing to sign in, I don't even keep them in mind. And so that is how I took it for that person. But everyone who came into my open house this weekend, everyone had, only 2 people didn't have representation, and everyone else had representation and seemed like they know about the buyer agreement.
All right. So who else has some advice or some dialogue for Princess? Anybody else? And feel free to get involved in this conversation. Let's go. Beth Ann. Beth Ann's newer to our group. Let's hear from you, but she's been in the game for a long time. Let's hear from you.
Hi guys. I think I would just probably let them walk through and just wouldn't discuss the house about anything about them. Just let them do their looky-loo and then let them leave. I just feel like it's as long as we don't get in a real estate conversation, I feel like it's like anything else. They could walk into a retail shop and look at it without us having a conversation. So I think it's just, out of customer service, I probably would let them just walk around, not get involved.
All right, I'm seeing some hands go up, so let's stay on this conversation. I like your contribution there, Beth Ann. Let's go, Christina. You had your hand up, and Diana, I don't know what hand that was, the earlier question or the second question, but either way, let's go, Christina and Macias.
Okay, so I had an house this Sunday, and I usually don't get a lot of pushback, but I did tell them when they were I noticed some hesitation with signing in, but I just told them, this is a new policy change. Unfortunately, it's required. So if you want to tour the property, you do have to sign in. This is just a new policy. I don't know if you heard about it. And a lot of times they're like, yeah, we have, or they're like, no, but we understand. So then they signed in. But 5 out of my 6 groups all had agents. So I was pretty heartbroken about that.
Yeah, and I mean, so there's no way for us to check to see if they have an agent. And a lot of times consumers are just going to front and they're going to give you a story so they don't have to have that interaction with you. That's going to happen. However, all you need is one, right? All you need is one. But I appreciate that contribution. Diana, let's hear from you. Thoughts on this conversation? I don't know which part of the conversation you wanted to get involved in. So let's hear from you. You had your hand up. Dan, I think you're frozen. We'll go over to Ilona. Ilona, let's go over to you. You had your hand up.
So we had an open house on Sunday and we had 5 groups come in. 2 of them were unrepresented. One lady, while it was got busy at the door and we had someone signing in, and Sierra prompted this lady like, hey, can you please sign in? But she just went for the house and she just like completely ignored us. And then Sierra took over with the couple that was signing in and actually started doing a buyer's consult with them, which I thought was pretty amazing because they said they were unrepresented. They said that they are brand new to the process. She had the buyer's consultation printed out and she's like, do you have a moment for me to go over this? So while she was doing the buyer's consult with the new people who came into the open house, I took the clipboard and chased after that lady who didn't sign in. And I was like, hey, can you please sign in? These are new rules. We really need someone to sign in. And she just looked at me. She's like, well, I'm done already. So and just walked out of the house. And I was like, okay, well, that's the way that goes. And then I'm not sure, but Sierra said, they don't technically have to sign in. And so I was like, okay, like, I'm not going to push. Why would I want to push working with someone who is already clearly like hard no, like what is the point of that like interaction, should I just be like, don't do that next time when you walk into an open house, like she did her thing, and it's okay, because I feel like those consumers are not the people that we're going to end up working with anyway. And what I made sure to do was to say the things that are important, which if this was a secret shopper, if this was someone testing me, I'm like, hey, here are the new rules. We are working really hard to follow these rules. We're asking for this information. And then when she walked out, I felt like it was going to be okay, because I felt like, if anything, I covered my back. I can't force someone to do something. And so when she walked out, I was like, well, if that was a secret shopper, we're not getting in trouble.
There's some things to unpack here. So if a consumer just forces themselves in, you're busy, you're talking with a client that's actually interested in the property and working with you and is willing to sign an agreement or willing to sign in, then at that point, obviously, we're not security guards. We can't escort people out of the property. But what we can do is we can protect ourselves. We can protect ourselves by not answering any questions about the subject property in any way, shape, or form. We can't talk about disclosures, can't talk about, anything other than, yep, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, as you can see here on the flyer. Let me know if you have any questions, if they're super adamant about that. Now, a consumer needs to know that we're walking into an era where they're not going to be able to just go and tour open houses without signing in. That's going to go away. And some people are going to be strict at the door and be like, unfortunately, I cannot let you in the property unless you sign in. Now, obviously, you're just learning this language. We're all just learning this language, but a consumer should not be allowed to view a property if they're not going to sign in. Now, obviously, I want you guys to have good customer service and client advocacy and all those things, but the consumer needs to know that they're not allowed to just openly, willy-nilly go into properties and tour them without having to sign in. That's not going to be allowed in the future, but obviously we have to give ourselves some grace. And like Beth Ann said, we have to give them some grace as well, because they just don't know, and we can't be bouncers. But in the future, like, unfortunately, I can't let you see the house without you signing in.
I'm just a little confused about the rules, because even in our message thread right here, it says that the settlement had nothing to do with this and that this isn't an actual rule that's part of what's required. Can we get some clarity, please, on whether this is, and are we then bouncers all of a sudden? Is that our job?
No, but you're protectors of your own ass. What I mean by that, if somebody wants to come in and they're adamant about not signing in, you did the right thing. You cannot have any conversation other than what's on that flyer about that property, because if that was a secret shopper, then you could get in trouble by having any type of communication about that. Also, let me put you in my Real Scout so you can see other properties that hit the market that fit this style. Or we have an off-market channel that I could, get you information to. What's your contact information? That is a consumer to agent type of relationship. In order for you to do that, there has to be an agreement signed. Has to be an agreement signed. So and what Mel put is that there's no rules. However, it puts us in a very, very tricky situation. And by nature, we may want to talk about the property, but that's when we have to stop ourselves and say, I cannot say anything about this property. So I would love to hear if someone else chime in. JJ, you just threw your hand up. We'll go back to Diana, and Mel, after Diana, I want to have you chime in as well. Let's go, JJ.
So can you and I just run a scenario? I'll be the grumpy consumer.
Sure.
Okay. Hey, you have a nice house. What's going on?
Hi, yeah, we're having an open house from 1 to 3 today.
Cool. You got a flyer?
I do. Here it is.
All right, thanks. I'm just going to go through here. I've got to look at the kitchen before my wife shows up.
Okay, so really quick, JJ, there's been some new changes and some new policies that have come down from the National Association of Realtors. Are you aware of the new changes that have to do with consumer and agent relationship?
Something about me not having to pay your commission or having to pay something like that.
All right, you're a smart man. What we want to do is we want to make sure that you know of the new changes. The seller wants to know everybody that came through their property today. So I'm going to have you just sign in really quick. Did you find our property online or did you find it by the sign?
I found it online.
You did? Okay, perfect. Did you see it on Facebook or where did you see it?
I don't remember. I would think it was like on Instagram or Facebook or something. I mean, there's so many of them these days.
All right, cool. What I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you sign in here and then go ahead and take a tour
Yeah,
of the property.
I'm not
You have any
interested
questions?
in signing in. I just want to take a quick look.
Okay, perfect. Well, then go take a quick look. And if you do have any questions, I can answer them for you before you head out. And that's when you guys are gonna have to cross that water there. Like if they're adamant about not signing in, you're either going to be a bouncer and tell them to move and leave. But if you have other people that are at the door that are coming in, you don't want it to be like a tough situation for other people and uncomfortable. I mean, at that time, we're just going to have to make a choice, JJ.
So like, let's say I come back after I see it real quick, right? And I go, hey, this one looks like it's about 2,100 square feet. There's one down the road that look bigger. Do you know what happened, or why is this one selling for less?
Yeah, JJ, I'm not at liberty to share that type of information with you. However, I want to hop on a call with you so I can talk to you about the neighborhood, the market, and explain to you what's happening. And I'll also explain to you how consumers now work with agents moving forward in the new world since the changes. That's
Perfect.
it. You can't answer consumer questions because that's when we're going to get ourselves in trouble.
I do have a question about that. Are we allowed to answer anything that is already public knowledge? Like you can
Correct.
go on Zillow and see that this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but clearly I can't tell you anything about the private remarks on my MLS because I'm not your
Correct.
representative. But
Correct.
I can continue talking about everything that is public information about the house.
100%,
right?
100%. But you can't talk about disclosures. You can't talk about comps. You can't talk about, the motivation of the seller. You can't talk about any of that. What's on the flyers? What's on the flyer? That's public knowledge. You can absolutely have that conversation. Good stuff, JJ. Let's go back to Diana and then we'll go to Mel.
Yeah, so we worked a new construction open house this weekend, and we just say the same thing, just like any other open house. Hey, the seller requires that you sign in. We print out that new property visitor non-agency open house form, which has the client acknowledge whether they have an agent or not. And some people will just put their names on it. Sometimes they'll put their email because somebody ahead of them did. But like I know George yesterday got one group like in the morning, and then in the afternoon had like 12 people like all at once. So it just got crazy, but we just directed them to the clipboard first and they all signed in. Obviously, if they want to take a look at it, we just let them. But on the form, what I like about that form is the very last line before they start to fill out their names basically says, I represent the seller in this open house. And should you want representation, you would have to have a buyer consultation and a signed BRBC form. So it gets us to start talking about the idea of buyer agency. We also have a handout form that we got from somebody on the team Fast, about the NAR settlement and some of the things that they should know. And again, they're just laying on the counter. So if they wanted to have a talk with us, but I mean, I think over the weekend, I booked a consultation and George got 2. So we did get, it is an opportunity for us to talk to people and to say like, well, I noticed you're not working with an agent. Again, we represent the sellers here, but if you would like to have representation, we have a whole team of people that can work with you.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Mel, you got a contribution. Thank you, Diana. I appreciate your contribution. Mel, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I just want to make it really clear because I feel like there's some confusion on the call that historically, yes, we absolutely want every single lead opportunity to sign in to our open houses, right? That's our bread and butter. These are free leads. Absolutely, we want everyone to sign in a perfect world. But I just want to make it crystal clear because, and back to Ilona's question, there is no policy requirements or changes that have made it a rule that consumers absolutely must sign in order to preview an open house. They obviously are, I mean, it would be great for us if everyone did sign in and we can encourage them to do so. And I agree with what Elias said, that we should not be answering any specific questions that have anything to do with what the seller wants, what kind of offers we have, what kind of neighborhood it's in, anything about geographic information or whatever, but that, we are not making it a requirement for people to sign in, because what happens when a buyer walks in without the realtor, but they say, yeah, I have a realtor, are you still going to require that person to sign in? Like, obviously we want them to sign in, but this has nothing to do with the BRBC. This has nothing to do with the rule changes that took into effect on August 18th. Like, it's ideal, yes, but it's not a requirement. So I just want to make that super clear for people.
Yep, appreciate your contribution. Let's go to Brandy, and then we'll go back to Christina. We'll go over to Chris, and then on to, if that was a new hand, let's go. And then Blessing. Let's go, Brandy.
Okay, so when I did a couple open houses, I didn't even present it as if, I just presented it as if it was the normal thing. I just said, hey, welcome in. Can you please sign in? I haven't had any pushback, anyone question it or anything. They were just like, okay, it's the thing to do. And I don't know if it's just because my approach on it or just I got lucky with those people. But my thought process after Melody said that is, if you don't have somebody sign in and something happens, aren't you kind of accountable and liable for that? And that's just my thinking. And that's how I would approach it if somebody had some pushback, is people walking in and I'm representing the seller and I'm there at the house for my own safety and the safety of the house and for the other people there. Wouldn't we want to know who stepped in to the house and kept account of who was under that roof with our supervision?
100%, 100%. And I think that the conversation is along the lines, it's not everyone is going to want to sign in. And so like, that's where the conversation went. But what I've seen work really, really well, I've gone to an open house with Vanessa, and every single time someone walks in the house, did you pre-register for this open house? Wonderful. Let me get you signed in. Like there's no, oh, I didn't pre-register. Okay, let me get you registered right here. And they're literally at the door with the clipboard to sign them in because that person didn't pre-register. Now it's just a kind of backdoor way for you to ask the question or to get them to sign in. And that's all we're looking for. Now, obviously, once they start asking you questions, that's when we have to pump our brakes and book for a buyer's consultation. So Brandy, I love that approach because obviously you have a style that's working for you. And like I said, we're going to work through all of this. But when it comes to the open house, there's always been people that didn't want to sign in. There just always have been. But we've also been at an open house, shared some information, given a link for disclosures, told them a little bit about the neighborhood. We've done that before historically. Those are the things that we have to be mindful of and protect ourselves so we do not get in trouble moving forward. Let's go to Christina. Let's go to Blessing.
Okay, one more thing I wanted to add that I was also telling them, since I know most people aren't reading that form, but I told them from the jump, like, just to let you know, so you're aware, I am here representing the seller. So if you have any questions, please defer it to your agent, because they all listed their agent. There's actually someone that signed in and she was asking about like the top level, is it insulated? And I said, well, I see you're working with an agent, so please just defer that question to her. And they were like, okay, so I mean, I feel if that was a secret shopper, I did what I was supposed to do. So I just let them know from the jump. And the one person that I did get, she's like, no, I don't have an agent. And I told her, like, you know, I'm representing the seller, but I am a buyer's agent primarily. So if you need any help or want to talk, please just let me know. And so I got her email. She didn't want to leave her phone number, but that was the one lead that I was able to capture. And I think it's because I was upfront with her.
Good, love it. Let's go, Chris, and then we'll go Blessing.
Good morning. So,
Hey, Chris, got your camera. The audio is really shaky.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Is that better?
Way better.
Okay, so Nicole and I came across the question twice. Actually, one was during a buyer's consultation and one was during an open house. But they mentioned that they didn't even want to get represented by an agent. They just wanted to talk to their lawyer. What do you guys think about that topic? Because basically Nicole and I were just saying, like, you still are going to be paying the commission because you're talking to a lawyer no matter what, even if they write it up for you. But I personally wasn't familiar with that. So I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that one.
So give me a little bit more context here. So they said that they didn't want to work with an agent. They would prefer to work with a lawyer. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, to write up their contract. That's what they said. We were like, okay, are you working with anybody? It was like, well, I don't know if I want to pay an agent's commission. I was just thinking about just, looking myself and just having a lawyer write something up. And that's how it went.
Okay, I see JJ's hand went up and went up. It also depends on where people are from. I mean, there's states where the contracts are written by lawyers. We are obviously not that type of state, but if they're thinking about representation, even if it's a lawyer, that's representation. And a lawyer is going to take a minimum of a $5,000 retainer just to represent them to write that up. So I don't know. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys think. JJ, let's hear from you. Let's hear from Melody next, and we'll go back to you, Blessing. Let's go, JJ. And we'll go Ophelia.
I would just caution anybody who wants to bring in a lawyer at any point when you're starting off the conversation. Be cautious. Some people are just saying it to explore their options, and other people literally are very litigious and want to go down that route. So back to what Elias said, just at this point, because nothing is clear. I mean, you guys even saw last week with the removing and adding of the little thing where it was, what's it called, Elias? Not the commission anymore, but whatever the
concessions. Concessions is a yes or a no.
Right. And then they changed it, you know what I mean? First it was optional, then it wasn't, and now it's optional again. So it's like, it's clearly the dust hasn't settled. If you have anybody talking to you where they're talking about a lawyer from the beginning, I mean, just keep it super surface level. Don't get into the details. And I personally wouldn't convince them not to use one, because if their first thought is, I should go get a lawyer, their second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th thought is going to be, I should get a lawyer. So that's just my 2 cents. Been doing it a couple of years, something to consider.
Yeah, they were talking about to avoid paying us. That was the main thing.
Right. No, I get it. But lawyers can do a lot more stuff than we can other than write up contracts, like sue.
And they're still, hey, Chris, at the end of the day, they still got to pay. They still got to, no lawyer is going to work pro bono for a real estate contract. That I just do not see that being a viable option for them. Let's go. Blessing will go Mel, Ophelia, and we'll make sure to get through all the contributions. Let's go, Blessing.
Good morning. That lawyer question has me thinking about a completely different environment. But what I was going to say about the open house is that I hosted one on Saturday, and I had the open house visitor non-agency disclosure and sign in. And I think that there's some, from a like a psychology perspective, having like a formal sign that has all of the, the small writing with the signs, there really was no questioning it. And I did have a lot of people stop and read it as I was explaining that, yes, I'm here on behalf of the seller, like Christina was saying, and just being very open and honest and saying, if you're not working with an agent, actually I opened up the conversation, welcome to my open house. How did you hear about it? And whatever their answer was, like, great, can you go ahead and sign in? Are you working with an agent? Like, as I'm pointing to it, are you working with an agent that's keeping you up to date on everything that's happening? Yes, great. Go ahead and write their name. No, okay. And then I used the home buyer NAR settlement, like the settlement that we got in our marketing. I had that already printed up so that I could just hand it to them as I'm explaining that in this new world, as you can see, like signing in, don't be alarmed if someone asks you to sign in for tracking or anything like that. But what we have to do is really explain, who's representing who and what that means for you. And it did end up feeling like I kind of stopped people in the living room to have this conversation, but everyone that stopped and had the conversation with me was super grateful, had a lot of questions. There were some that were familiar, but most were not. And those that hovered over the disclosure and like were reading it, just were like, okay, this is really helpful. Thank you for preparing me, because I wasn't the only open house in the area. So I was kind of setting them up for the next one. And I was also getting feedback from, what other open house did you go to? Did they have you sign in? And if it was a no, I'm like, okay, I'm just making sure that I'm covering my butt and making sure that I'm following the rules. So it was good for me to have that conversation and make them feel like they were also, giving me something I may not have known. So I think it's all about how you approach the conversation. If you make it feel you can't go past me, like you're about to tackle them, or if it's just part of the whole flow, I think it'll change the awkwardness of it.
Yeah, and I think what I'm seeing work at a very high level is, literature that explains some of the changes. And if you're a consumer, did you know the changes? And here's some of the changes. Here's a handout. This is why we're doing that. And let's get you signed in. You know, having information that is printed, having information that is framed, that is directly from NAR, it looks super, super detailed. It's not broker specific. It's coming from the National Association of Realtors, and we're here to educate you on all the things that you need to know as a consumer in today's, you know, market. And so I think like having a table of handouts, just like we do with our list reports, having something that is clear for them, whether it's this open house or future open houses, we have a really big responsibility right now to make sure that they just understand what these changes mean for them. So Blessed, I really appreciate your contribution. Let's go with Felia, then we'll go Mama San.
Good morning. So I guess with what Chris had experienced this weekend, if somebody says the attorney, I'd be inclined, as long as they said they were not represented, right? As long as that was clear, even though they're saying I don't want to pay an agent, I probably want to dig a little deeper. And again, not to be contentious, because sometimes we're so quick to like, oh yeah, but guess what? Oh yeah, but really? And you know, it can become like an argumentative, or you're trying to prove something. I would just dive deeper. It's like, okay, what would you feel is justifiable to pay a buyer's agent? If you don't want to pay, then what do you feel is the right payment? Do we know what that number is? And explore that a little bit more and say, okay, you have an attorney, or you want to use an attorney for every single offer you write up, and we're still considered to be a seller's market, you will have to possibly pay every single time you write up an offer. I've written up for certain clients up to 5, 8, back in 2021, 21 prior. So again, but we have to be careful, because after what JJ said, I was like, it's true. You don't know where they're coming from with that type of statement. But I'm also that person that wants to dig deeper, just so for my personal edification too. Right? I was like, where are you coming from? What's the root of this? Do you really not want to pay? Or is it that you just feel that the number is just too astronomical for you? It's like, let's talk about it a little bit more. So.
Yeah, and so I really, really like the way that you're taking this conversation, or where you're taking this conversation, because I feel what the consumer sees, they see the tip of the iceberg, right? And you guys have all seen like that poster where it's the tip of the iceberg, and underneath it is like all the things that we do. Well, you got to think about it from a lawyer standpoint. They're not going to be out negotiating. They're not going to spend countless hours reviewing documents, reviewing disclosures, talking to the listing. They're not going to do all these things. And so, Mr. Consumer, I want to offer you a different perspective, and I want to at least get on a buyer's consultation so I can show you what we do as agents and how we represent you, and the contrast between just having a lawyer and having representation from a realtor. Then at that point, you can make a decision on what's the best route for you, right? So I want to offer you a different perspective, because they don't see all the things that we do. They think that they can go see a house. Wonderful, I like it. 720, we're writing 725. Hey, Mr. Lawyer, can you write this up for me? Let me write that up for you and send it out. Like, that's what they think. And this is our opportunity to make sure that a buyer understands everything that we do for them. That justifies the compensation. If they just think tip of the iceberg, we write an offer, open a couple doors, cool, then there's no justification of a $20,000, $15,000, $10,000 commission. There's no justification. But once we slow everything down, do a buyer's consultation, and show them the depth of what we actually do, I think we'll smoke any lawyer. We'll smoke any lawyer that is not going to be proactive throughout the whole entire process. They're going to be reactive, meaning, oh, you want to write an offer, 720? Wonderful, I'll write that up for you. Here it goes. That's it. So, Ophelia, I love that. Offer them a different perspective. Let's go, Mama San, and then Melody. You put something in the comment. I wasn't sure what it was that your cousin did this to you, so don't go far. I want to come back to you. Mama San, let's hear from you.
So being prepared for open house, having all your printouts, like you're saying. So what worked for me is I have a bunch of these clear plastic ones. I had this by the front door, by the sign-in sheet. I had it next to the drink section, the snack section. So, and then one in the living room, one in the bedroom. So people are seeing, okay, what is a written agreement, buyer's written agreement 101? This kind of, and then it's a kind of a conversation starter. Then from that, it's like, okay, would you like to know more about that? And then I have, my BRBC draft, or sorry, rough draft, or for them to kind of like see what it is. And then from there, also having buyer's consultation. Let's go through this right now too. So having everything kind of ready at open house, plastic slants definitely worked this time. People were curious about what it meant, and so got folks to sign in.
Share with me what your sentiment has been. I mean, obviously you're still hosting a bunch of open houses. Do you feel that consumers they're educated, they know about these changes, or there was a lot of people that were just kind of lost in the I don't know?
I will say I had a 50-50. So to answer that, some folks came in, they're like, oh, what is this new settlement, buyer's agreement? So that gave me a chance to talk more in depth about it. Then there was people that were like, what are you talking about? So it gave me a chance also to educate them about that. Don't want to like go too hard into it, but just like a quick synopsis of what it is and why is it important to have an agreement signed. If you want to look at other houses moving forward, if you want me to answer any questions, we have to. It's mandatory that these are signed.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so what you're sharing is directly from NAR, or is it something that we created at EXP?
This one was from the NAR, the Written Buyer's Agreement 101.
Yeah, if you can, just throw it in the chat so everyone can see that. And then Mel, let's go back over to you. You had wrote, my cousin did that to me and I didn't know what part of the conversation that was from. So let's go back to you.
Yeah, so I guess it's not really a contribution, but it is a short story, and it should drive home and put more into perspective why us as realtors should be grateful that this entire lawsuit happened in the first place. So my cousin last year and his wife were looking at a property in Lafayette. They hit me up. They were like, hey, there's this property on Via Roble. We've had our eye on it. We're very familiar with it. We drove by a few times. We really want to see it. Can you get us in? I'm like, sure, absolutely. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I got your back. Got them into the property. They saw it. They really liked it. Well, then they, wanted disclosures and reports. So I not only met them at a local coffee shop in Lafayette, bought them lunch, brought my laptop, sat down with them, went through every single page of the disclosures and every line in every one of the inspection reports, let them know what they should be aware of, walk them through the whole process, right? And then they wanted to see the property a second time. So made another appointment with the seller, got them in there a second time, sent them market trends, comps, any type of market data and information that they needed on that property. And they told me, the offer that they wanted to write is about $500,000 below what it was listed at. I told them the seller's never going to go for it, but we'll write it up. We wrote the offer. The offer was rejected. And then I didn't really hear from my cousin again after that. They said they were going on vacation. Then they came back from vacation. 3 months had passed. All of a sudden, I get a call from them. They're like, hey, how you been? I said, good. Where you guys been? I haven't heard from you since we saw the property last. What's going on? And they said, well, we just wanted to let you know that we ended up going directly to the seller, knocked on the door, met with him, and put a deal together with our lawyer. And we bought the house 3 months ago. And I felt like I got punched in the face. Like I totally felt like I got punched in the face. They not only went directly to the seller, hired a lawyer, did the entire deal, closed on the house, but they took 3 months to pick up the phone and call me to tell me about it. Was I pissed off? Yes, because I put so much time and so much energy, and I was so grateful, that they called me, and I shared so much information with them. And so this is why I'm so grateful for the lawsuit that happened, because it's going to protect people like that from ever being able to do this to us hardworking agents ever again. And that was my family. So it hurts even more, right? And so if I would have had a BRBC signed with them, would they have been able to still go through a lawyer and do all of that? I'm not sure. Could they have had the lawyer sue me to get out of the form? I'm not sure. There's so many what ifs and what did I do wrong and why did this happen to me and all that bullshit pity party that I threw myself afterwards. But I'm still grateful that this happened, because consumers aren't going to be able to just use us to send them all the information, go over disclosures with them, and open a door, and then be able to go through another agent or knock on the seller's door directly and do the deal without us. So I'm really glad and I'm very grateful for this.
And I believe that if there was a BRBC in place, you're the one that showed them that property, then you are the procuring cause, and then I think that you 100% would have had a case. But how was Thanksgiving?
I don't know. I didn't fight them up.
I gotta know. We're fighting. We're fighting at Christmas Eve.
Yeah. That, I mean, the conversation was it was a very hard conversation. And Elias, you know me. I did not take it lightly. I did not take it lying down. Like, I definitely threw a couple punches after that, verbally, not physically, obviously. And I'm still pissed off. Like, it's just, how could they do that? It was very hurtful. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, great point here though, Mel, because if a family member could do that to you, a stranger is going to do that to you. And in the old world, raise your hand if you've ever had a client ghost on you after showing tons of properties and then find out that they got in contract because their uncle's brother's mother wrote up the contract for them and got them the house. That's happened to people. It's happened. And you've spent hours and hours and hours and months and months and months and sleepless nights. And so, Mel, sorry that happened to you, but yeah, the BRBC would have protected you in that instance. Let's go, JJ, and let's go, Mama San.
Listen, I just want to say one thing. It's just, to me, every time they bring up a lot of these new rules and the new processes and procedures for us, it just makes us more and more professional. To be quite honest, to get your real estate license, you need the equivalence of one junior college course. So to be able to get in doesn't require a lot. And as far as I'm concerned, if they raise the bar high enough, we're going to get a lot of unprofessional people leave the industry, and then it will galvanize itself. It will legitimize itself. You're not going to go to a lawyer and expect to pay $35 an hour for him to do the work, because it's already expected that lawyers cost a certain amount of money. So even though this is tough and we have to go through it, in the long run, I think it's just going to make the business that we conduct even more professional, and it's just going to make us and galvanize us much, much more. You know what I mean? It'll soon, won't be tomorrow, but soon enough, this is going to be the norm, and the conversation is going to be the same way. That's just the way it is. The same way you are with a lawyer, same way you are with a doctor. I mean, we didn't go to school as long, but you should be in our very specific world, you should be at least that professional.
Yeah, so I've been saying this since the start, that this is going to professionalize our industry, and we're going to see tons and tons of people leave this industry. And good, because let's think, if compression or commissions are compressed, let's say a point this next year, I'm not saying they are, not saying they won't be, but let's say they are. Well, if there's less agents, that means that you guys have the ability to pick up more market share. So that means that what I'll see from us, it'll be more units per agent year over year. That's what I'm looking at. Because if the agents are leaving, that means more units per agent year over year. That means that we're going to make up that difference if there is a compression in commission. So JJ, I appreciate that. Mama San, let's go to you. I got a couple of questions for you guys that I want you guys to get aligned with, and then we'll start wrapping the session. Let's go, Mama San.
One thing I did yesterday, and I was like, why should I wait for people in open house to let them know now? So I did a video while I had some downtown at open house and posted on social media. And I made it more of like a fun Instagram post instead of being, because it's, we want to kind of dispel it being scary, and said, why make it fun? Why not make it fun? And the post that I did was kind of like a news broadcast. These are like microphones on my face.
Yeah, I saw it.
Did you hear yet? Haven't heard yet? Well, listen in, here's what's going on. And then if you have any questions, blah, blah, blah. But I got so much feedback from that on my social media that people are like, what is that? And then also just like, that was a fun video. It's cool that you're showing it in that way instead of being a kind of a scary thing, what's going on. So
yeah, I thought the video was great. I shared it. So on that thread, how many of you guys have created some type of video educating consumers about the settlement, about open houses? Please raise your hand if you have. If you can, do me a favor, drop the link to your video down below, because if you haven't seen Mama San's, if you haven't seen Ophelia's, if you haven't seen other people on this call's videos, they're really good and maybe will inspire you to create your own. So if you've dropped a video that has anything to do with the settlement, go ahead and drop it down below. That way we can get some inspiration from each other on the call. Before we shift gears, you guys got a couple minutes. I want to share something with you. Does anybody else have any thoughts or any contribution on this conversation? Obviously, we're going to be doing this more and more to make sure that we are clear and that we know what's going to move our needle every single week. So let's go right into this. JJ, was that another hand? Sorry, I'm going to go back to you. Was that an old hand? Okay, cool. I'm going to have you lower that hand and let's go here. All right, guys, as always, I want to start off Monday with putting some things into perspective for you guys. And I'm always about asking some questions to you guys. And first and foremost, I want you guys to go to the board. You're going to see this every single week. I will not remove this because I think that it's important. You guys have to think about your week. If you're in intensity, you have a set of goals that you have to hit every single week. If you're not in intensity, then you have to set those goals for yourself. In the box goes your numbers. There's no room for excuses. There's no room for bullshit. And there's no room for your stories, for all the reasons why you couldn't do the things that you know were going to move your needle forward. So be very clear on what those things are. I saw this and I wanted to put this in our coaching this morning because I think that it's really important that we are being super mindful and that we're being very protecting or protectful. We are protecting our energy and protecting our mental peace. And I think that this is spelled correctly. So hold on, let me go back to this. Let me ask you guys this question while I fix this. What is one thing, what is one change I can make to my environment that promotes mental peace and clarity? I want to ask you guys that really quick. And I want one person to answer that, two people to answer that. Let me just change this really quick. Let me go to you guys. What is one change I can make to my environment that promotes mental peace and clarity? Is it your calendar? Is it working out? Is it decluttering the downstairs because the kids' toys are everywhere? Like, what is one change that you can make right now to your environment that promotes peace and clarity? Does anybody have an answer for me, or do you guys want to sit with that one for a minute? Please raise your hand or just take yourself off of mute if you have an answer to that question. If not, come back to it. But if you do have an answer to that, take yourself off of mute. All right. What's that?
Meal prep.
Did you say
meal preparation?
Meal preparation. Ah, okay. All right. Now, is that for you or for the kids or for both?
For both. I find that in the evening I'm exhausted and it's like I don't want them to be eating trash, but I'm sometimes too tired to get up and cook anything because I'm not taking steroids anymore. So I want to take 2 days to cook for. I used to meal prep, but I kind of fell off. So I'm trying to get back into that.
I love this. I love this. What else, you guys? Is there anything else that would you change to your environment that promotes mental peace and clarity? Is there anything else for you guys? For me, it's planning my schedule Sunday night. It's walking into Monday with a clear plan of action of what I'm going to accomplish, who's going to get my energy, what are the type of meetings that are going to move my needle this week. Like, I'm very clear come Monday morning, so I'm not scrambling around. Like, my peace and clarity also comes from exercise. I know this week I'm going to exercise a minimum of 6 days. That in itself gives me the peace, the energy, and the clarity to do the things that I need to do in my business. So stay with that, take a picture of that. Or Zal, you had your hand up. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's not only setting up systems, but also sticking to them. Because on Monday I wake up and I have everything is clear and this is what I'm gonna do. And then as the week progresses and things are, as life happens and things don't work as planned, then I start losing faith that I can do the things that I plan for, and I fall off the wagon. So by Friday, I'm already like all scrambled and don't have a system anymore and don't even look at the plan that I made because I know that I'm not gonna do it. So I guess it's sort of like not only like creating the systems and setting up a very clear schedule of the things that I'm gonna do, but also finding a way to stick to it and not just give up on myself and the fact that whatever, it's just not gonna happen. So I'm struggling with that one.
I'm really glad that you said that, because you have to trust the process, right? You have to say, okay, I made this my plan for the week, my plan for the month, or whatever it is. And I have to make sure to see it the whole way through, because Once you do, then you say, okay, now I have some clarity on what worked, what did not work. But if on a Wednesday or Thursday, I threw that plan right out the window, now what happens? I'm back in chaos. I don't have peace, and I'm not clear on what's going to, move my needle this week. So I'm really, really glad that you said that. So you guys sit with that. What is one change I can make to my environment that promotes mental clarity and peace? You guys, another question. What is the one action that you can take this week that will make the most significant impact on moving your business forward, right? You guys are running a business. You guys know that the way that you are going to move your business and you guys are going to make money is lead generation. So you have to look at your week and say, how am I going to generate leads? How am I going to book appointments? Because when I book appointments, that leads to me going to showing properties. Showing properties leads to me writing offers. Writing offers means the contract's accepted, to close, so on and so forth. Write down a time in your life when you fought through tremendous adversity. How did you overcome that? And I want you to sit with this. I've been doing a lot of reading lately, and I thought about this, and I want you guys to look at your life and say, what's a time that I fought through tremendous adversity? Maybe it's something recent, maybe it's something in the past, maybe it's something that you've gone through personally, professionally, whatever that is, but how did you overcome that? And I want you to remind yourself how amazing you are. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I gotta remind my 12-year-old of how amazing she is, because she deals with like self-advocacy and not being like, having the confidence and esteem, things that normal 12-year-old, 13-year-old girls go through. But that kid made it through 30 surgeries. She was born 1 pound, right? Had all the odds stacked against her. And to see her as a vibrant young lady, like if I can just remind her of everything that she has had to overcome in her life and how strong she is and when she could walk in that power, I promise you her life will be different. And so will ours. So Cynthia Jackson, you had your hand up. I don't know if it was a contribution or an answer to one of these questions. Let's go, Cynthia.
It's a contribution. You know, when having gone through just whatever you go through in life, one of the things that I do, and I've had some really pretty extreme things that, I've gone through. But what I would do, and I still do, it's just such a practice of mine. I pause and I will take a nap, right? Because I don't care if it's a 15-minute nap, whatever it is, it's refreshing. And so then you're regenerated. And then you can get up and you can move on and go to the next step, because we really have to stop and pause for a second, especially when we have so much stuff on our plate. There's so much for us to know. It can be so overwhelming. If we can take 15 minutes and just take a nap, 30 minutes, and then get up and start over. Or, for somebody else, it may be exercise, or somebody like I'll even stop and take a walk. Because sometimes you just have to breathe and you have to take another step. When I want to give up, that's what I do. I'll just take another step, or I'll take a nap, or I'll go for a walk or whatever. But just pause and then go back to whatever it is you were doing.
Man, I love that, Cynthia. 15 minutes to thrive, 30 minutes to reflect, 10 minutes of gratitude. Like, I really, really enjoy that. Let's go, JJ, and then I'm going to get through a couple more slides. JJ, what's your thoughts, contributions thus far?
I was just going to say, I have a friend of mine who recently got their license in Arizona, and obviously she's very scared, new venture, blah blah blah. And she was saying, "Well, what do you think I should think about?" And she was like, "I'm really proud of the fact that I got my license." I said, "Look, don't take this the wrong way, but getting your real estate license it's nothing. That's not a real accomplishment." But she lost like 100 pounds, and she didn't lose them with any kind of surgery. She did it through a trial and error, year and a half long process. And so I told her, I said, remember what it took for you to finally decide that you didn't want to be as heavy as you were, and use that to anchor you for your new business. And she's like, almost every day now, she's texting me saying, thank you. I completely forgot about that. And to me, that's one of the things that we don't, once we accomplish something huge, we kind of forget about it and we go with the most current thing that we did. Like, obviously top of mind to her was, I've got kids, and so I was able to get my license. But it's not that big of a deal, you know what I mean? That doesn't require a pivotal or a real decision from you that's constant, right? You just have to do it, and you take the classes or whatever, and then you're done with it. when you lose 100 pounds and maintain that, when you stop drinking, when you start working out, I think that's something that everybody should consider, and everybody's done something. Doesn't have to be the same thing, but that should be what most of us should use whenever you think, you're not making it or you're not doing enough. Think about what you did, what mentality you used to get where you were able to make a real switch. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Honestly, there's a few other things, you guys. Well, first off, deal of the week. Make sure that you're sending out your deal of the week every single Monday. You should send out a deal of the week, scour your MLS, look at those opportunities, put that in an email, and make a video of that. JJ is exactly right. We've said it time and time again that the answers to all the challenges that you have, the answer to adversity, generally lives in the past. You guys have all done something big in your life. The answer lies within your past, not moving forward. And so I appreciate the sentiment, you guys. We'll continue to have these conversations. We'll continue to go full tilt on this. Like I said, I'm really grateful that you just spend this time with me, and this is how we build our confidence. We borrow a little bit of everyone's confidence until it becomes our own. That way we can go out, connect with our consumers, and then when other agents start to talk to us, like JJ is doing, like Blessing's doing, like Ophelia's doing, like Andrea, like Mel, you guys are going to give that to other people, because I promise you, there's other agents out there that are clueless right now, that are running around in circles, that don't know exactly what to do because they haven't been in the right rooms. And so, you guys, I encourage you to keep showing up, keep doing the work, you guys. Thank you. Move your needle this week. Know exactly what you need to do in order to move your business forward. So if you need anything, you know where to find me. As always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and visions. And no, I have no other extra shirts. I only have 2 of these, okay? They came as a promo from stickers that I bought. Maybe I'll get some down the road, and maybe I'll do some type of competition. But have a wonderful Monday. Go out there and move your needle. If you need anything, you know where to find me. Peace.